Hello, welcome everyone. I am Chelyn and I am really happy to be here today with Tom Vazdar, and we are going to be diving into the intersection of cybersecurity and AI. And Tom is going to be showcasing and demoing a solution that he has created and share how he put that together, and it makes it very accessible for all of us. But I would love for you to give a little bit of background about yourself, Tom, and share a little bit about your business.
Oh, first of all, thank you, Chelyn, for introducing me. Pleasure to be here. So my name is Tom. I have background in cybersecurity. I spent like 13, 14 years working as a chief security officer for the major Central European bank. My background is also in consulting, worked for Big Four company. I don't want to name everybody now, but I heavily invested for the past couple of years also in artificial intelligence. And it was actually lots of fun playing with Mind Studio as the tool, which is really interesting. Been involved here for the past 6 months. But this is shortly about me. We can discuss more about the product itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know about you, but it seems like every time I turn on the news or scroll on LinkedIn, there is absolutely discussion around cybersecurity and AI, and that intersection between the two is so fascinating. And the solution that you created, you actually won a couple of hackathons working with Mind Studio, which was really interesting to watch as you've learned how to really dive in and create these solutions, and now looking at helping organizations be able to have their own teams learn how to design things for their organizations. But why don't you just share a little bit about, from your perspective, and you just have such a deep experience in cybersecurity, just perhaps a little insight into just the risks and opportunities that AI have brought into that space and the discussions that you're having with your clients.
Absolutely. Now, isn't that something about when we talk about cybersecurity, it's all over the place. And I also serve as an area chair for cybersecurity for master's degree at the Open Institute of Technology, and which is also a wonderful experience. But you're right. Whenever you scroll on LinkedIn or in media, people are talking about cybersecurity. They're talking about ransomware. They're talking about phishing. They're talking about deep fakes. They're talking about data poisoning. And I know many people are confused now. What are all these new threats now? Where are they coming from? Which is quite an interesting topic. And for me, as a professional in cybersecurity, that's actually a very interesting area to explore, to do some scientific research, but also opportunity to automate processes. Because many people are just they know how to use ChatGPT, or they don't know how to use ChatGPT. They use it for basic purposes, and they write me a song, write me something, and everybody just messing with it, but they're not really producing anything usable. And many organizations are now, they don't want to lag behind. They want to acquire some vertical tools like ChatGPT, like, I don't know, whatever, some marketing tools. But this is not really the way how to do it. And especially in cybersecurity, I've been using artificial intelligence in cybersecurity for at least 5-6 years. And this was mostly with machines that were machine learning taught, something that would automate tasks. But now we have finally, in the past few years, and with the rise of Mind Studio, we are finally able to do something for the fraction of the price. And this is actually where the beauty is of using tools that can provide multiple language models. In this case, for the tool that I developed, I'm using here 2 different language models at the same time, but I will talk about this a little bit later. But going back to you introducing me, talking about hackathons, in the past 2 months, I actually won 2 hackathons, which was quite interesting because I developed first tool with Mind Studio just for fun. I wanted to see if it is doable. From my experience, in the past, many small business owners or people that work in government agencies, whatever, they would just come with questions, ask me like, look, we have some phishing, we have some issue with our computers, we have ransomware, what should we do? And usually they will just ask for you to either help them immediately or to direct them to somebody who can provide help. And this is usually something, when you experience like a major issue like ransomware, you feel lost and you feel alone, and there's nobody to help you. Your data is locked. You don't know what to do. So from that perspective, I wanted to develop something that would be like the first line of support to business owners, regardless are they small business owners or large enterprises, or even for people that work as a help desk. So I developed CyberAid. CyberAid is a tool that actually helps you with the first level of support. And this is something that people need. So basically, in this tool, you can just describe your problem in your natural language, or you can take a screenshot and upload your screenshot. The AI will do the rest. It will tell you, I think you have this type of issue. You probably have some phishing or ransomware, whatever. It will tell you what is the risk, and it will give you also guidance how you can mitigate this risk, which is actually something that you need as a first line of support. So you won't need to call other people for help, wait for somebody to charge you lots of money. You actually get initial response and guidance. So and as the second level of support, there is also information who to contact, which is also valuable information, because then and this is for the hackathon purpose. It was just a proof of concept to show that things like this are definitely doable. And now from this model, I could build an agency also. You could build an agency like Uber or whatever, sign up different consultants, people who provide consulting services, who provide IT help desk, outsourcing, whatever, because you can resolve with the updated model that I have now, you can resolve actually many of your first level of support issues. So this is something that won. The next hackathon was the one I was actually curious. I was discussing with a colleague who works for a bank, and who was talking to me about their software development life cycle. And in software development life cycle, you need to actually build security from scratch. This is something that's called security by design. So I developed something that's called an agent that's called Threat Gen AI. So Threat Gen AI is one in all threat modeling solution, which is designed to help software developers, identify and to mitigate potential security risks in their software applications that they're currently developing. And this one is leveraging advanced techniques, methodologies like Stride and Pasta and Linden, CVSS. I don't want to go into detail about each of the methodologies, that this is not relevant right now. But the thing is, they're used for threat modeling to help you streamline your threat modeling process. So with the Threat Gen AI, you can automate the process of uncovering vulnerabilities and weaknesses in your application architecture, in your design implementation. And the next thing, since this was also a proof of concept, the next thing I will also incorporate to verify your program code to find if there are any vulnerabilities or not. And this is definitely something that's doable with Mind Studio. So it will act as your virtual security advisor. It's already acting like this by using AI capabilities just to analyze your software and also to provide some actionable recommendations. So I was actually pretty excited when I was started to get results that I was expecting. And when I posted this link in the Discord channel, there are now more than 40 people actually that tested this. And I also got on LinkedIn a couple of them offering additional support and financing, which is quite interesting. I will have to now go through everything in detail. But it's just amazing, one hackathon, two hackathons, and suddenly you get business offers and people's interest. And the beauty here is, what you can build here with Mind Studio, you can build for a fraction of a cost. Because if you buy off-the-shelf solutions for threat modeling, this is tens of thousands of dollars. And it takes time to customize and everything. And with Mind Studio, it's actually quite easy. You build, easy. It's not easy. Well, it depends how you look. You need to understand the business process. So you can build for a fraction of a cost. You can build a solution that can actually help you and speed you up. And it's just amazing what you can do. Every day, and I'm all over excited about the possibilities of artificial intelligence. One more thing is also when you look at, because I researched this stuff a little bit more prior to developing it. When you look at Gartner research, they said that 75% of security failures they stem from non-software vulnerabilities and misconfigurations. And this is something, so it's 75%. And this is why it's important to have security by design from scratch. Because many companies, when they develop software, very often they will decide to do this at a later point of development, but they already have the product ready to ship, and then it's already actually too late because you're shipping the product with security vulnerabilities, and this is not the way to do. So with the threat gen AI, you actually get your risks, your attack vectors, you understand the mitigations, then you move on. You can start building everything from scratch, your software.
And
Yeah.
it's so much more important now because the flip side of that, certainly creating the solutions and the security, but bad actors can use the technology to really identify the vulnerabilities. So it's even more essential in having those in-house
Absolutely.
people as well that understand how to work with some of these. Well, why don't we have you kind of pull back the curtains and showcase what you created, and feel free to share any of the Mind Studio elements or even just the thinking behind creating it and what you've been able to do. It's not easy, but it is pretty straightforward. And
It's very
I
straightforward
think it'll
process.
be, yep, perfect. And then if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the comments and we can address them during our time together or even after. And I'll bring up the screen here.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay, so this is actually how it looks now. I mean, I could embed the code and have a separate internet domain, but this is only my proof of concept to show how it works. And this is how it went for the hackathon. So initial page, it's actually telling this is a threat gen AI or all-in-one solutions for smart threat modeling, yada yada. So I'm not going to read everything here. Okay, the one thing for architecture I didn't say is that I'm using actually two different language models. One is Anthropic Haiku, only because it's actually giving really good writing and it's very cheap compared to ChatGPT. And also I'm using for reasoning and for attack tree generation, I'm using ChatGPT. Actually, it has really good reasoning, and this is very low temperature, so we get results that are expected. So this is the first introductory screen. We move on, and I explain here for people then that they're not in this topic, what is Stride, what is Pasta, Linden. I mean, there are different threat models. I just decided to do for this purpose, picked 4 different ones. And also, okay, the first menu here is you need to decide what you want to do. So I will go with Stride. And what is Stride? Just to explain a little bit. This is the threat model actually from Microsoft. And this is the methodology that is identifying and categorizing potential threats. And the Stride is actual acronym. It stands for spoofing, tampering, repudiation, information disclosure, denial of service, and elevation of privilege. So to make it easier for people to test this, I have already pre-made like the prompt that you can generate. And what I did here, I went to Perplexity, asked Perplexity, okay, what is Zelle? This is the US application, the mobile app used for money transfer between banks. So I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I just copied the explanation of what is Zelle, how it works really shortly. So I'm going to copy this for myself also. We go to the next step. And here, describe the application. So I'm not going to write anything new here. I'm just going to copy whatever was there. We'll go next. And now we have to decide, what is the application type? Well, this is the mobile app. So is the application internet facing? Yes, it is. What is the highest sensitivity level of the data? So the data we are transferring here, this will be you're sending money. And you're sending probably some personal information. You're sending some notes within the app. So this is up to developer, what the developer will decide. But I'm going actually to say, okay, I don't have anything right now because I'm building scratch brand new application and we have nothing. And then what methods will be supported by this application? So if the developer didn't envision anything, any security measures, we'll choose none. But for instance, I would like to say I have, I don't know, multi-factor authentication or single sign-on. But let's go with multi-factor authentication here. And are all these privilege accounts stored in PAM solution, privilege access management? I will say no, they're not stored anywhere, only because you want to get some model. So now, as you see here, it says processing. This processing is going to take probably like, I don't know, 30 seconds, 1 minute. It usually takes time to process something. You should also say generating report. Okay, but we will see now what we get out of this, because I'm also dependent on cloud, if there are any updates in Mind Studio also, but something will come out. So let's give it a few minutes. And what's also interesting here, while we are waiting for the result, this stride model here, it provides also a systematic way to identify potential threat categories when we are accessing the application attack surface. So by considering each stride threat vector, security teams, they can get a comprehensive view of risks that also prioritize and mitigate accordingly. So, okay, we are getting something out now. Usually it works a little bit faster. I don't know why it's now slower, but we should get our report anytime soon. And I will show later actually the data sets that I'm using and the workflow, which will be also quite interesting. And there are prompts involved. So it's not like something you snap fingers to get the result. It takes, usually it takes like 60 seconds, minute and a half to get something. No, it's actually quite slow. Maybe because we are also streaming this, maybe it's a little bit slower. So let's see what we get. It should be here any moment. Let me switch screens. Okay, I see myself here. It's coming out. And there are also, all this, while we are waiting for the result, all these models are used for different purposes. I showed Stride and Pasta, but if you go with Linden, for instance, that's a threat model which is focused on evaluating effectiveness and also on proposing mitigation controls for identified threats, and it's used actually for privacy. And this is also very interesting when you develop, in Europe, we have something that's called GDPR, Data Privacy Protection Law. And if you design an application, you will also have to develop this Linden threat model to actually get something out of it according to Linden. It's an acronym that stands for linkability, identifiability, non-repudiation, detectability, disclosure information, unawareness, and also non-compliance. So it will also generate report that's relevant for this. So I know why this is waiting for so long. Let me refresh the screen. Let's see what we get. Okay, here it is. I had to refresh. So this is our threat model here called Stride. So it gives us an overview. It says Stride threat model. It's widely used framework for identifying and analyzing potential security threats. So basically introduces somebody who will read this report to understand, okay, what is the model and how do we do this? What is the scope? The scope is the analysis of Zelle application, which is a popular peer-to-peer payment service. So model generation, so I explained the acronym. So it's talking about spoofing. So it says about spoofing. Attackers could attempt to spoof user, identifies by compromising login credentials, etc., etc. It's explaining potential attack vectors. The same thing for tampering, repudiation. So everything according to Stride is here. Okay, now it didn't visualize the attack tree because it should look a little bit different. I can show it in the report that I ran a little bit before. Okay, it should look like this. So this is the attack tree. So basically it's similar to what I'm getting here, but for some reason I didn't format it right. Maybe because I refreshed, it was still working. But normally it should show it like this. So the attack tree, its analysis, it gives you attack vectors, how the attacker might compromise your system. And this is really very good, actually, that you visualize how somebody could find vulnerabilities and how could attack your users, your application here. So after the attack tree, we also get mitigation suggestions. So basically on all the identified risks, it tells you, what do you need to implement, including multi-factor authentication here, end-to-end encryption. So it gives you an overview, of everything that is important. And then in summary, just gives a nice little summary, what is relevant here, what is important. So this is how the app works. It can be for any purpose, for any type of software code. You just need to describe on what it is. So this is shortly an overview of the application. I can also show, Chelyn, if you can switch screens, I can also show how it works, how the process looks like, but I will have to stop sharing this one and share another screen. Let me just do that quickly.
As you're doing that, I did want to mention I've put a link to Mind Studio if anyone wants to explore that. It's uai.ai. There's a link there. I've also shared the link to Tom's newsletter. So that is available and a great way to keep in touch with what he's working on and things that he's sharing. And then if you are interested in kind of diving in and learning how to use Mind Studio, there's a variety of ways to do that. So I'll drop that link in and then I will pull up your new screen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is our screen. This is the app. It's nothing really scary. I don't know about about our viewers, if they're familiar with Mind Studio or not, but everything starts with the main flow, which is here. So in the main flow, there is something that's called prompt. So this is my initial prompt for the application that actually explains what is the purpose of the application, what are the key parameters, traits, what is the output in interaction with the application. So this is the prompt that's actually describing this whole agent. And then when we go about the automation, this is actually our flow, the business flow. So we start with the user input. You can see here on the right hand side, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different, 11 different inputs here. And all these inputs are important so we can process the information. So we start with the first input, which is welcome. Welcome is here. This is the screen that you have seen initially. It's a display. It tells you, a little bit about the application, what it is, what it does. And here on the right-hand side, you can see the preview of how the screen will look to your users. Then let's go here to the main flow. Okay, there are different inputs. I'm not going down through each input because it's not relevant anymore. But once we input all the information inside the app, there is also a data source. A data source is actually here. Data source is about my threat models. And in threat model here, I have uploaded all the information that's publicly available on the internet. So for instance, threat modeling here, let's see what it is. Okay, here is Carnegie Mellon University, their definition of threat modeling. So they explain about, it's just a PDF. They explain all the models that I mentioned here. They go in detail. So everything that is here is then being vectorized. And it's being vectorized and put in chunks. So basically, this is how the vectors look like. So this PDF is converted to vectors. Vectors are to raw chunks here. And this is what the AI is using. Then there are other PDFs that I'm using here, say for pasta, for instance. So everything that was on the internet, I used as my data source to see how this is going to work with a threat model here. So this is how we train the model, how we train the agent that I'm building here. And I'm also going to query. So all these PDFs, I'm telling, okay, I'm looking for information about what you want to explore. So in describe is my input variable. Where is it? In describe, this is the screen where I actually describe what you want to do. This is where we told him, okay, we have mobile app for financial transactions, yada, yada. So this is where you input here. And then we query this information against this database about all the PDFs that I have here. This is my knowledge base. Once this is done, Okay, we're sending command here, which we didn't see because I had to refresh the screen, but it says generating a threat report. So user would know actually something is happening on screen. And then the first message after crunching my query through the data source, we are getting actually the first message according to the prompt that I have issued here. So write a report in 1300 words. Make sure that you're using, the model that the user chose to, like pastel, stride, whatever. Make sure it's according to the right model here. Generate this threat report. These are all the variables that we're using here. And then I told him also write me a conclusion at the end. But I'm not showing this to the user yet because I'm assigning this to the variable because I still want to refine this data. So the variable name is report. And this is something that's being stored in memory of the AI. Okay, notice here that we're using Claude 3 Haiku. And Claude 3 Haiku in model settings is our generic language model that we're using here with a temperature 0.4, which is actually pretty good temperature, so it doesn't hallucinate, but it gives you enough creative and accurate results. And I have also limited the response size here to 1300 words because there is no need to generate more. Otherwise, the model becomes more expensive. But if I would want to write like a book, I would go for maximum result here. But this is not the point now with this model. So we're using Claude 3 as our generic model. But as I mentioned before, when we created the attack tree, I didn't really like the output I was getting from Haiku. I wanted actually to use GPT-4 here with a temperature 1 out of maximum 2. So this is excellent reasoning, and it's something that's reliable. And the information I'm sending here is also from the variable report that we created before. The output from the previous query was in the variable report. And now based on this output, we are creating also the attack tree with GPT-4, which is quite cool that you can mix different language models for different purposes. Finally, here is the information where we generate the report, something that will be shown to the user. So I told him, generate me a report based on the user variable that we had before. And this is how the report will always look like. It will show what is the model, what is the overview, the analysis scope, and it shows you everything. See, the attack tree visualization, the variable is data flow. This is the one that we have created in, where is it? Oops. Okay, this is the data flow. We have assigned new variable for the attack tree. It's called data flow, and now it's being shown here because it's generated with GPT-4, and everything else is being generated with Haiku. Once this is done and displayed to a user, I didn't show you the rest, I forgot, in the other screen, you can also talk to the model. And actually, when you talk to the model, this is something that is really cool, but it's the real value because we are using something called RAG, and RAG is retrieval augmented generation for this threat model. So basically, if you don't like something in the report or if you're missing some additional information, you would use RAG to generate additional information. So I'm going to preview my model again. And I'm going to share this in a separate screen again, so I can actually show you. Chelyn, I'm going to close this screen and I will share again. I will show again.
Perfect. And while you're putting that together, I did want to mention that the upgrade has some additional training. So there are free trainings for Mind Studio on YouTube and part of Mind Studio. The upgrade is a wonderful organization that has a deeper level developer certification. And there's a variety of levels. That's something that both Tom and I went through. It was really valuable to have that learning and learning directly from people in the Mind Studio team. So I did include a link to the academy as well, if anyone wants to learn more, and I'll pull up your screen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here is the model that we created. And now if you remember before me describing RAG, this is actually how we get there. Once the model is done, now we can actually chat with this model and ask him to do different things. So for instance, I want to tell the model, okay, I want additional information. So I can tell him like, I need you to generate risk assessment for this app and put it in a table. So let's see what we get when we generate this. Because we can ask him anything we want, because we're talking to our data set and we're also talking to the output. So here's the risk assessment. Okay, it's creating something. Of course, this is not formatted, but it can be also done. So it's formatted. So it's actually telling me this is pretty cool. So risk level, it's according to the methodology I have also in the data set. So it's attacker could spoof user identity. It's a high risk mitigation strategy. So everything we had before, it presented now in a model and also enhanced the information here. So this is actually the beauty that where you can talk to the model. You don't understand something. So for instance, let's ask him implement robust. Let's ask him how to do that. So let's see. How would I do just, oops. Let's see what we get here. I'm not even sure what I'm getting now. Based on the information provided was tried, here's how you can, okay, so it's giving you some interesting output. Okay, it's still generating this. Okay, so it's actually pretty cool because it tells us, how to do something. So for multi-factor authentication, we didn't say we have multi-factor authentication, but this is how you do it. Something the user knows, something the user has. So this is this is actually very educational because it's teaching you how to do stuff, how to use strong password policies. So implement password. So this is amazing, and I always get surprised, with the output that I'm getting from something. And so there are so many opportunities. I would like to encourage everyone. I will close the screen. I would like to encourage everyone, who wants to play with AI. Just do it. It's not hard. There is so much you can do and so much you can learn, and all these models are just wonderful. And with Mind Studio, you can test, I believe, like 15, 20 different models, something like that, from Google, from OpenAI, from Meta, Mistral. Everything is there, and the beauty is there you can try them all at once in one single prompt, and then the result that you like the best, this is the model actually they're going to use. And the beauty is also you can play with temperatures and the number of words that you can get out. So it's really, 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 really good for any organization. I mean, I know I'm not praising Mind Studio, but I really like it because I use it for on daily purposes. There are models that I have developed for myself. One is for writing, one is for scanning CVs. I mean, for a different job, but there are different things you can do. You can automate yourself, and you actually augment yourself. Not only automate, but you augment your knowledge. And then now, when we're reading this last output, the AI was telling us, how the password should look like, and this is so cool. And you can also fine tune this information and create new data sets out of your outputs, and just so many opportunities. It blows my mind. I'm always getting excited all over again when I'm working with this.
It is, and for me, right away I just found ChatGPT so fascinating. But it was the time, you get a little spoiled once you know how to use it because you can save a lot of time, but you're having to kind of re-put the information in over and over and over. And I found with Mind Studio, I could then, set it all up so that all of my preferences were stored and the personality I wanted to be creating. And then I could create things so much faster, but not only were they fast, they were so much better. And even just some personal things, once I kind of cleared out some of the professional areas, that I could produce much better, or it allowed me to have really good baseline drafts of things that then I could use a lot more creativity instead of the hours it took me to create. It moved on to some personal things that you could create your own custom AIs for. There, I was paying attention to meal planning, and I have a child with allergies, and there's certain macros he's interested
Awesome.
in, and proteins, and you could just capture all of that and then put ingredients that we had, and it would create menus and a shopping list and put it in Trello so that I could access it from my phone. Just things that just day to day to think about at work, at home, in your life. What are the things, especially repetitive areas, that you can just create and then it's just ready to go. So it is quite fascinating, and it's just the beginning. I think that's something that for all of us, I so appreciate you sharing what you've worked on, because you have this career. There's a lot of us who have had careers and have jobs and trying to figure out, how does AI fit into this for us? For professionally diving in and learning and exploring, I think is so important, so that we have that opportunity to be part of the conversation and have it be part of our skill set. And for me, not having a, heavily technical background, my studio, and so much being no code required, you can do a lot of coding if that's your jam and you have that expertise. But for many of us who don't have that background, we really can create quite astonishing solutions, because we have this, this platform. So it's whether it's this or just exploring and being able to try different things and use different models just to test, to see what happens if you use a different model is fascinating as well.
Absolutely. I'm really, really excited about everything that you can build. One more thing, when I was talking about CyberAid, the first tool that won hackathon, for incident management, I also generated QR code. So basically, if you need help, just put a QR code on your monitor, and if you need assistance or something, you can scan your QR code and you can talk to your mobile phone, because this is the app that's also with its own domain. It's cyberaid.top. That's the domain. And you can actually, from there, you tap on generate incident report, and then it will describe what it is. So basically, if you have an issue, scan QR code, open a web page, and talk directly to the AI model. And it can be done for anything in the world. So cool.
Yes. Well, that's really the point of these. We are hosting these weekly, and they are showcasing developers and professionals who are leveraging AI in Mind Studio specifically, but you can do a lot of these in other ways as well. This just is such a great way to put it together, but just to kind of explore what people are doing, to spark curiosity, give us all ideas, and just to see, what is being accomplished. And I'm amazed at, just in a very short period of time, what people have been able to create for just a huge variety of industries, and having that approach with looking at your business for what can you automate, some of the big things, but then taking it down to a role by role level that you can take and really customize these quite simply to meet the workflows, meet the level of professional that you have in your organization. For those that have been paying and hiring external people, that can be saved for those really important projects.
Definitely.
But if you have that knowledge in-house, you can get really creative. And I think it's pretty fascinating. So any last words for folks around what?
Yes, I really like the community around Mind Studio and AI in general, because everybody is so nice and so supportive. And when I was learning this, there was Luis and Giorgio and people and Discord and Una and Simon. Everybody is so supportive. They want to help you. They want to guide you. And this is just perfect. You basically get free knowledge, and you learn a lot. And then you realize, oh, this can actually help me. So my message to everyone is like, don't be afraid, give it a try. Just great. The best way to learn is not by reading books, but by doing it. So build something for yourself, and you can do it in 10 minutes, basically.
Yeah, I think that's what's so fascinating. I pivoted my career about 5 years ago from a very non-technical related career into Salesforce, and got certified. And that was difficult. It was really a difficult jump for me, but I knew professionally, if not having these skills or knowledge really puts you at a disadvantage. And so making that move, that was really challenging. But I'm finding some of the ways that you can use AI and the tools that people are creating is changing things from, learning how to do live streams. Like this is a great example. So this live stream will actually it's recorded. It will go into Descript. OpenAI, which ChatGPT is part of that organization, it put a bunch of resources in there, and it will actually cut it into clips, and you can edit in a Word document instead of the video. So just the AI, it'll change your eyes from looking at something to looking like you're looking in a camera. So for professionals who are looking to just expand and explore, it's making things very accessible. And I think to that solopreneur or that small agency, you have access to things that have never been available at a cost that is so affordable, really in all time. So it's really been a fascinating journey. And Tom, I really appreciate that background from that cybersecurity place, that the exciting part of AI has that flip side of, I think a lot of people are afraid, and there's some really legitimate risks. And so for those of us that are in cybersecurity or need to be paying attention to that, it is critical. And this is a great way to explore. So Tom, thank you so much for sharing with us. And again, I did share the newsletter. Is there any other way that you would like people to reach out to you?
They can reach out on LinkedIn also. I'm Tom Vazdar on LinkedIn, so I'll be happy to connect with everyone. I'm also certified in Mind Studio, and if anybody needs help building anything, just reach out to me. I'll help you out. I also have my own agency now, so this is all cool.
Excellent.
And thank you for having me, Chelyn.
Of course, my pleasure. And we will be featuring another developer next Wednesday at 9:30 Pacific. So thank you very much. And Tom, have a wonderful day.